How do we know when we get some kind of thoughts, ideas, emotions? How do we know if they are coming from our intuition, if they are being sourced from our heart space, instead of our ego, instead of this part of ourselves that is might be fear-based, okay, might be resistance-based? How do we understand which one is the higher perspective, and which one is maybe trying to keep us in the same things? It's all about the feelings. It's all about what's going on the inside. And in order for us to distinguish the two, it's important to feel how we feel in the moment when we get that hint, when we get that guidance, when we get that information. How does it feel? If it feels serene, peaceful, loving, expansive, then it's probably our intuition. If it feels like it would be nice for you to do that, but if you don't do it, it's okay too, then it's most probably our intuition, because our intuition will never force us to do something. Our heart perspective will never force us to do something, will never really want us to do something. Otherwise, there's hell going to happen. So this is the main distinguishing aspect. If you get a hint, an information, something that looks like guidance, but it has this idea that if you don't do it now, if you don't do it, something will go wrong. You have to, you need to. There is some kind of obligation, some kind of fear, some kind of otherwise, XYZ, then it's most probably not your intuition. It's interesting that sometimes those things might be telling you the same thing, but in a very different way, or a very similar thing, but in a very different way. Sometimes our intuition comes in, and then the ego aspect takes it, and it's like, you have to hear that. I'm not saying that whatever we hear from our ego is always wrong, right? That's not necessarily true. But it's important for us to be able to hear that's very soft, tranquil, peaceful voice, that energy, that frequency that comes from our highest perspective, because it will help us come in contact more with our intuition, so we can find it easier to align with it faster, instead of having to go through a lot of thinking and a lot of figuring out what's going on. So it's important to know how we feel at the moment, and it's important to know how to distinguish emotions, right? To understand more than black and white, understand different nuances of emotions, and how the body feels, what's the frequency of this information, and what happens when we don't follow that information and we go back into thinking, oh, now I understand, because I got that thinking and then I dismissed it and it was gone. Because again, if you dismiss it, it will go away. It will not force you to do anything. When we get this feedback, when we understand more of how it feels like, then we will be able to take this intuition and this guidance at that point in time when it comes, and it will be easier for us to follow it faster than slower, or a lot after a lot of different actions that haven't worked. So it's important to know, to distinguish how it feels like. Go back into those moments where you think that your intuition came in and told you something, and remember how it felt like. This will give you an understanding for the next time, so you know that energy signature and you can follow it easier and faster.